Now I'm going to get ready to draw my floor plan. I'm going to start using the pencil tool. I'm going to click and drag, making sure that that line snaps to the red axis. And I'm not going to click again to lock it. Instead, I'm going to type in the overall width of my room, which was 8 feet space 5 inches. And then I'm going to hit enter to put that in. You'll see that I still have the line here attached. I want to show you what this floor plan looked like, if you remember. So here I took an overall width that was 8 feet 5 inches, and then the depth of the room was 5 feet 7 inches. So I'm going to put that in. So I'm going to take my pencil tool, make sure that I click on that endpoint, that green dot. I'm going to click again, and I'm going to pull this so that it's snapping on the green axis. If it's snapping on the blue axis, it's actually going straight up into space, even though at this perspective it doesn't look that way. I want to make sure it's on the green axis, and so I'm going to pull it along that, and then I'm going to type into the lower left-hand box there 5 feet 7 inches, which is 5 and then apostrophe space 7 quotes inches. You'll see that down in the right-hand box, and I'm going to click enter. You can always get away from a tool by clicking escape. Now I'm going to click from the end point again. I'm going to click and drag that across on the red axis, and this time I'm going to type in 8 feet space 5 inches, and I'm going to click enter to apply that. And now I can try to go across, and you can see that it's on the green axis. So if I look in the box down there and I click again on that green, you can see that it says 5 feet 7 inches. And once I connect the box, it will close and I'll get this gray surface. And that way I know that I've successfully closed my box. The next thing I want to do is I want to add the walls. And to do that, we're going to use the offset tool, which is right here in the toolbar. We're going to click that, and I'm going to mouse over the edge. So I'm going to click, and I'm going to kind of drag my mouse, and you can see that it highlights the box. And I get this little red box, and that tells me that I'm on the edge. So before I start the move, I'm going to make sure that I have that square box, and then I'm going to click, and I'm going to pull out a little bit. And this is going to give me the walls of my room. The walls of our room for this particular project, we're going to use 5 inches. Because presumably this is an interior wall, and exterior walls sometimes can be 6 inches or even a foot, depending on the type of material you use. For this project, let's just use 5 feet. So to do that, I'm going to click and drag away and then type in 5 and hold the shift key, inches, and click enter. So now this gives me the floor and the walls. Okay, so I have my walls drawn in, and now I want to bring these walls up to the height of the room. I made a measurement of what the ceiling height was, and in this case, my ceiling height is 7 feet 5.5 inches tall. So I'm going to use this tool called the push-pull tool, and you'll notice that when you mouse over a particular shape, it will highlight, and that tells you which part of the model the tool will affect. So in this case, we're going to pull the walls up to the amount that I measured. And so I'm going to click over the walls and let them highlight. I'm going to click and pull up in space. And my ceiling height was 7 feet 5.5 inches. So I'm going to type in 7 feet apostrophe space 5 space 1/2, and then I'm going to hold the shift key and place in quotes, and I'm going to hit enter. So here we have, and I'm using my shortcut here, I'm pushing down on the scroll wheel and I'm navigating around. here is my room. Obviously, there's some things missing, right? I'm missing my window, and I'm missing the opening into the room, and I'm also missing the door. So let's start with the opening. I know that my opening is 2 and 10.5 inches wide, and I know that if I measure from the corner to the beginning of that opening, it is 3 3/4 of an inch. So now I'm going to use my guideline tool. I know that my wall here is 5 inches. So I'm just going to put a little guideline here. I'm going to click on the edge. And you remember how you get this little square, red square? I'm going to click and I'm going to drag over 5 inches. And I'm just going to type that in so that I know where that wall is on the outside. Then I'm going to pull the amount that it shows from the corner. And that was 3 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to click the guideline tool. Again, I don't want to get this X, I want this red square, and I'm going to click and drag, but I'm not going to click again, and instead I'm going to type in 2 space 10 space 1/2 inch, and I'm going to hit enter. So this tells me where my opening is. I know that the height of that opening is 6 feet 6.5 inches tall. So I'm going to pull another guideline from the bottom here. I'm going to click and I'm going to drag, and then I'm going to type in 6 feet, 6 apostrophe space 6 space 1/2 quotes inches. So right here is the opening into my room. So I'm going to take my pencil tool and I'm going to draw right on top of those guidelines. And you'll see how everything is snapping to the axes. And that means that everything that I'm drawing is parallel. The next part is really pretty cool. So we use the push-pull tool to pull up the walls. But did you know that you can use the push-pull tool to push in any openings you need? To show you, I'm going to just mouse around here a little bit, and you'll see that anytime you draw something along a surface, it's going to cut the surface. And so here you can see my opening, and then here you can see the wall. So now I'm going to click on the opening. So now I'm going to mouse over here, and I'm going to hold the left mouse button down to click, and I'm going to start to push in, and now I can type in 5 inches because we know that the walls were 5 inches thick. And I'm going to hit enter, and there you go. There is the opening to my laundry room. Now I'm going to scroll around to the other side because there was a door here, right? So I need to put that in. In order to do that, I still have to pull the guideline to make sure that I'm doing it in the right place for the thickness of the wall. So I'm going to pull the guideline over 5 inches. And then from there, if I look at my reference here, I can see that it's 5 inches to where the door starts. Then the door itself is 2 feet. From the other side of the door to the end of the wall, it's 3 foot 2 inches. So I'm going to use the guideline tool again. I'm going to click from where I drew my wall guideline, and I'm going to pull that over 5 inches. And then I'm going to pull the width of my door, which was 2 feet. I'm going to type that in. Here is the opening for my door, but I need to add the height dimension. And the only way to do that is to look at my drawing. And here I can see that I measured the door height, and the door height was 6 feet, 5.5 inches. So I'm going to come here again. Remember that anytime you need to get out of a tool, if you click and drag something and you don't like what's going on, you can always hit the escape key and get out. So now I'm going to pull the height of that door. So I'm going to click on the bottom, and I'm going to pull up on that blue axis. We're going to pull it up, and I'm going to pull that door up 6 feet, space, 5, space, and 1/2 inch. I'm going to hit enter. So right here is my door, and I'm going to use my pencil tool again. And I'm going to click here, click up to where those guidelines cross and then down again. And again, you can see that all of my lines are snapping to the different axes. Then I'm going to orient myself a little bit better. And I'm going to use the push-pull tool. I'm going to highlight the door area and I'm going to start pushing in, and I'm going to type in 5 inches. And there we go. So there is the openings, the opening to my door. So I have one other measurement I have to add in here, and I'm going to zoom out again, and that is the window. So if I look at my floor plan again, I can see from this corner to where the window starts is 2 feet 11 inches, and then the window itself is 2 feet 6 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put that in. So I'm going to take my tape measure tool. I'm going to measure over 5 inches for the thickness of the wall. I'm going to click from that again and measure over 2 feet space 11 inches, and I'm going to hit enter. And now I'm going to put in the width of the window, and that was 2 feet 6 inches. So I'm going to click again, pull over 2 feet 6 inches, click enter, and here is the width of my window. There are 2 other measurements that I need, right? Remember when I said you need to measure where the bottom of the window comes to the floor. And here we have that it's 2 feet 4.5 inches off the floor. The other thing we need to note is how big the window is. The window is 4 feet high, so 4 feet 0 inches high. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to put in my first measurement for where the window starts from the floor. So I'm going to pull a guideline from the floor up along the blue axis, and I'm going to type in 2 feet space 4 space 1/2 inch. And it's okay to use fractions. That's absolutely fine. Now I also know that my window itself is 4 feet. So I'm going to click here from where the bottom of the window would be and drag up to where the top of the window, which would be 4 feet. I'm going to click enter, and here is the opening for my window. So now I'm going to come just like I did before, and I'm going to draw in my window with the pencil tool, and that way I'm cutting and creating the shape. And now I'm going to push and pull that out just like I did before. So I'm going to grab the push-pull tool. I'm going to mouse over the window opening. I'm going to start to push in, and I'm going to type 5 inches. And there you have it. Now I have an absolutely to-scale replica of what my laundry room looks like. In the next video, we're going to add the windows and doors.